Welcome to Blooming Wildwood Homestead. Today I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. I want to talk about 5 aspects of Olympic training as it can relate to homesteading. I know that we're really busy right now with our homesteads. A lot of you are working on harvesting. It's kind of the main big season for us as far as homesteading goes. However, we also have the Olympic Games going on, and while I am not sitting down to watch the Olympic Games and watch whole sport competitions going on, I can still appreciate some of the clips that I've seen and the work that those Olympic athletes have put into their sport and what they're doing. And as I was thinking about what it takes to become an Olympic athlete, it got me thinking about how does that relate to being, we don't have homesteading Olympics, but how does that relate to being an expert homesteader? And so the 5 aspects of Olympic training that I want to talk about today, the first one is it's a lifestyle. So if you look at any of the stories of Olympic athletes, when it comes to their training, it becomes their lifestyle. Their habits change, it changes how they interact and what kind of social life they have. Everything revolves around training for the Olympics and training in their sport. And the same thing is true for homesteading. When you become a homesteader and you decide to choose that, it really becomes a lifestyle. Even if you have a job outside of homesteading and you're trying to balance 2 different things, you still have to take into consideration what's going on your farm, what's happening in the garden, what's happening with your animals, what kinds of decisions are you going to make. It impacts your social life and vacations that you might decide or not decide to take because of the responsibilities that you now have due to homesteading. And so I think both of those things are very similar. It is definitely a lifestyle choice, and your lifestyle totally changes. This is really true if you're someone who has come from the city and you've been living in the city or maybe in an apartment and you've decided to switch over and do some homesteading. That is a completely different lifestyle, and your thought process really has to change if you're going to make this work. The second aspect of Olympic training that is relatable to homesteading is that it takes a team. So Olympic athletes, yes, they are competing in solo competitions, but it does require a team in order to reach that level of performance and being able to compete on that level. They have to have a coach. They might even relocate so that they can train with a team where some of their competitors are maybe a little more advanced in their skills. They have family that's supporting them and behind them the whole entire time. And so it really does require a team. And the same is true for homesteading. I think a lot of times people think, well, I don't need anybody. This is just my farm and I'm going to do what I want and I'm going to do things the way that I want to do them. I don't need anyone else. But that really isn't true. If you want to have an expert level homestead, it really is going to require you to have a team. You might want to find somebody to coach you, whether it's a grandparent or maybe your parents did homesteading and they can help coach you. Or if you don't have someone in your family, maybe there's a friend that you can turn to and get advice from. Because what I've noticed is it doesn't matter how long you have been homesteading, if you're focusing on gardening or animal production, it doesn't matter how long you've done it, there's always more to learn. And so it's helpful to have a coach coming alongside you. It's helpful to have friends who are doing the same thing that you're doing so that you can run things by them. You can say, I'm having this struggle right now. Have you seen this before? Do you have a recommendation? Is there something I can do to try and improve in this area? And it's great to bounce ideas off of each other. So homesteading should not be an isolated lifestyle. You should have a team around you that you can really work with. The third aspect of Olympic training that relates to homesteading is the need to experiment. So Olympic athletes are always trying different things. They might be adjusting their diet in order to gain more muscle, or they might change their workouts so that they can get more power. Maybe they're experimenting with different clothing to see if they can gain some speed, or different shoes if they're running track to try and gain more momentum. So they're always experimenting with different things, and they're not satisfied with the way it's always been done. And this relates to homesteading because it's good to experiment and try new things. You're not going to get it right the first time. Sometimes you might need to run some tests and experiments to see what's going to work in your area. What worked at one farm might not work at another farm. And so you have to experiment and try new ways of doing things. And those two are the same. The fourth aspect of Olympic training that relates to homesteading is hard work. Olympic athletes put in a lot of hard work and dedication to their sport in order to be able to compete at the level that they are competing at. And so they can't just slack off. They have to put in the work every day, or they're not going to make the gains that they need to make to be as successful as they are, or to make the Olympic team. And the same thing is true for homesteading. I think that a lot of people go into homesteading with this idea that, oh, I'm going to get some animals and I'm going to have a garden and it's going to be so much fun, it's going to be great, and they don't understand the work that goes into it. And I'm not saying that homesteading isn't fun. I'm not saying that it's not enjoyable, because it definitely is. It's all of those things, but it requires a lot of hard work. So you have to know that up front and be willing to put in the hard work and make the sacrifices that are necessary in order to do homesteading. If you have animals, there's times where you're getting up in the middle of the night because they're birthing and they need you, or they got sick and you have to go check on them. If you're working on gardening, there are going to be times when it's very labor intensive. Harvest time might be one of those times where it's very labor intensive. You're harvesting and you've got to preserve the food to make sure that you have it ready for next year. So know that going into it, if you're going to choose homesteading, it's going to require a lot of hard work. The fifth aspect of Olympic training that relates to homesteading is passion and purpose. And the reason that I say passion and purpose is that for an Olympic athlete, they know what their purpose is for training. They know that their goal is to get to that Olympic level, and it's going to require this lifestyle change, and it's going to require a certain amount of hard work in order to make that happen. So they're very clear on their purpose of why they're doing it, and they have to be passionate about their sport. If you are to the point where you don't want to get up and do the training and you're feeling like, I'm just not motivated to put in the hard work, their passion might come into play there, and their purpose, and it works together to give them that extra boost of motivation to keep going. And the same thing is true for homesteading. You have to have passion and purpose. If you are not passionate about whatever avenue of homesteading you've chosen, it's going to be really hard to embrace the lifestyle and put in the hard work that's necessary to make it happen and to make it be effective. So if your passion is to raise animals, or your passion is to garden, when it gets hard and the hard work feels overwhelming, you can kind of draw off of that to help pull you through those moments. And also understanding your purpose. Maybe your purpose is to be able to preserve some of those life skills that have been taught and passed down through the generations. Or maybe you want to learn some of those skills that have been lost in our younger generation. I think we're to that point now where we aren't seeing that get passed down. People are not teaching their kids how to can or preserve food. They're not teaching them how to garden. They're not teaching them how to raise animals. And so maybe part of your purpose for homesteading is to be able to continue on those traditions and continue on those skills. Or maybe it is for improving your health and your family. Maybe you want to homestead so that you can improve the health and just the vitality of your family overall, and you know that that's going to be the best thing for your family, and that's part of your purpose. And knowing your passion and purpose is going to carry you through even when the going gets tough and it feels overwhelming, like you aren't going to be able to continue on. So I'm sure that there are many more aspects of Olympic training that could be related to homesteading, but I hope that you found these 5 aspects of Olympic training relatable to homesteading, and I hope that it can give you some encouragement. And even though we probably are not going to become Olympic level athletes, the work that you're doing on your homestead is important, and it is something that is worthy of acknowledging the hard work that goes into it. So being encouraged by that, and I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye everyone.